Welcome to West Kentucky Community and Technical College's Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy, and I want to cook with you. Welcome to West Kentucky Community and Technical College's Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy, and I am back in white. I'd say back in black. That would rhyme better, but I'm not. Coming back from vacation, and Mickey got my last dime, so I got to earn a little bit more money. So we're going to make some new things here. We got, here in Kentucky, you guys are so fortunate to have such a nice variety of beautiful vegetables, and I thought, well, corn is just coming out, so I'm going to show you how to make a nice corn chowder. You also got peaches coming out, fresh peaches, so I'm going to show you how to make a nice peach turnover, and then we're going to make a black bean and corn salsa. So that's what we got on tap for today. And so we're going to start out with just putting a little bit of butter. We got about 2 ounces of butter right here. We got a little onion, celery. This is some flour. Got black pepper and salt. Of course, we won't use that much. We got corn, potatoes, and that's pretty much all that's in. And of course, I got some certified organic chicken broth and some cream, half and half. You don't have to use organic chicken broth. I just like it. It's from free-range chickens, and we got to keep them employed. So what we do is we take some corn here, and what I like to do about what makes corn on the cob so much better for corn chowder is the fact that it's got the cream in it, and that's the part right behind the corn. And so when you make creamed corn, you should really be using corn on the cob, and that's what makes a big difference because it's so much sweeter. So we really like that sweetness that the cream part behind the substrate of the corn adds such a nice sweetness to the corn itself. So it's much better than using frozen corn, and that's why fresh corn is usually so much sweeter than frozen corn or even canned corn without adding any additives or sugar or something like that. So we're going to add this little butter to this, and we're just going to throw that right in there. Okay, you can hear sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Okay. We also got some red bliss potatoes. I like to keep the skin on. I think it makes a very nice chowder. You don't have to. You could just use regular potatoes. That's entirely up to you. But again, all this is fresh and local, so it's very nice. Once that butter melts, we're going to add our celery and we're going to add our onions. And essentially, that's it's almost melted, so we're going to throw that in there. All right. And that's about it. That's all there is to it. Once that comes starts to turn translucent and everything like that, and we don't have the camera over there to show you, but essentially those onions are going to start to turn translucent, and by that I mean that you'll be able to kind of see through them. They'll be kind of cloudy, but almost like a shininess, kind of like fresh fish before it's cooked, and that's what you're looking for. You want to get those onions and that celery nice and soft, and then I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of flour, and basically what I'm making is a vegetable roux. Okay? Now a roux is just what's going to thicken this soup. This chowder. So you need to have, now sometimes you'll make chowders up in Maine and certain parts of New England where chowders are very prevalent. They have both thin and thick chowders. I'm a thick chowder kind of chef. Some have real thin. It's almost like a soupy kind of chowder, but I think a chowder should be thick. So I add flour to mine, and that's what actually does that. That's what thickens it up. So we're going to just take a brief break, and when we come back, I'm going to start to put this all together for you. We'll see you in a minute. Hi, we're back to Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy, and we have our celery and onions started. And basically, we just want to make them sure that they're nice and translucent. Then we're going to add just enough flour, probably about as much as we did butter. Usually that's the ratio. So if you add 2 ounces of butter, you're going to add about 2 ounces of flour. And you're just basically bringing it together. Remember, you're going to get a little bit of starch from the potatoes too, and that's going to help thicken it. All right. Occasionally at the end I might add a little bit more like a flour slurry just to kind of thicken it up a little bit, or I might add a little bit of cornstarch and water just to kind of thicken it up a little bit. But what I like about flour that cornstarch can't really do is give that nice body. Cornstarch doesn't have the protein in it, so it thickens, but it doesn't give you the body that flour does. Okay. Okay, so that's really perfect, and this is what they consider kind of like a soft roux. And you don't want to overcook the flour because you're going to take away its thickening ability. As it starts to cook more, as flour begins to cook more, it actually loses its thickening properties. So as it gets more and more brown, it loses its thickening properties. So we want to have it white. Plus, in addition to that, because it's got cream in it, we don't want to have the roux too dark, or else it's going to make the cream soup darker, and we don't want that. So we're going to add our potatoes. And we're going to add them now because they have to cook. And I like a lot of potatoes in mine. And then we're going to add our certified organic chicken broth. I just like saying that, not because it's of anything special. I really like these new containers that they have the chicken broth in because you can they're reclosable. Okay, and we're going to just stir that in there, and we're going to bring this to a boil. These potatoes won't take all that long to cook, and by the time everything is done and had a chance to simmer, it'll be perfect. And I'm going to bring that to a boil, and I'm just going to let them simmer. I'm going to add a little bit more chicken broth. About half that container. All right. I won't add the corn until the very end. As with clam chowder, corn is the same. That's an accessory element. And what I mean by accessory, that's at the very end. It's almost a garnish to the chowder. This is a chowder base. So you could use this base for clam. You could use this base for another type of chowder. Whatever kind of chowder you want to make, this is a basic base. Then you can add your accessory element, which would be like corn or clams or whatever you wanted to make. Okay. So we'll bring that to a boil, and when we come back, I think that's a little piece of onion. I hope that's a little piece of onion. When we come back, we will go and we'll make a salsa, corn salsa. So we'll see you back in just a minute. Welcome back to Cooking at the College. We are working with corn and peaches, fresh peaches and corn, right straight from the farm. So wanted to show you a couple of ways to kind of use those nice fresh farm ingredients in some unique ways. The corn chowder that we're making is something that, at least in New England, we have it a lot of times in the winter, but it's certainly a wonderful thing to have during the summer because you can use fresh corn rather than frozen corn. So, and you get that nice sweet flavor that frozen corn just doesn't have. But I'm also going to make, and I just kind of thought of this, that I thought it would really be nice, is to show you how to make just a basic salsa, but something that has just got something a little bit of a different twist to it. We're going to make a black bean and corn salsa. And I'm going to start out with just a little bit of cilantro here. And you can do all kinds of things. I love cilantro, especially in salsa. Some people say they don't like it at all. And make sure that you use cilantro if you use this at all. Don't use like parsley or flat leaf parsley. It doesn't have the same flavor. Okay. Okay, and then we'll add a little bit of black beans to that. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt, just like that. And these were canned black beans, but you certainly could use your own. You could make your own black beans, and it really tastes good. Essentially, also, if you were to puree this, you could make a black bean soup, which this is the essential ingredients for a black bean soup. So we're going to add some red onion, and I like the red onion for this particular application. And then just for color, we're going to add a little bit of red pepper, too. I'm going to add a little bit of spice. You could use cayenne pepper. You could use some jalapeno peppers. I'm just going to use a little Tabasco for the heat. All right, so we're going to do that. And we're going to add our corn. And I forgot about the corn. Got to have some corn if we're going to make a corn and black bean. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of fresh corn there. It's all right. Stepped out of camera view for a little while. And isn't this just the prettiest thing you've ever seen in your life? I mean, this is just beauteous. And this will actually, if you let it sit for a little while, this will weep a little bit, just like regular salsa. Some might call this like a pico de gallo type of salsa, only with black beans, because it's more separated than some other salsas. You could certainly add some tomatoes to this, but I'm trying to do something that's just a little bit different without the tomato product in there. And that'll start to weep a little bit, and it'll actually be, after a very brief amount of time, it'll actually be scoopable and just like a salsa. So that's really all there is to it. It's very, very simple, and it just has a wonderful, wonderful flavor to it. Okay, that's about it. We have our chowder going, and essentially what I did with that is I added the potatoes, and I just got to wait till the potatoes cook through. Then I'm going to add a little bit more corn to it. We're going to add our cream to it, so that's our next step. I'm going to head over to the chowder station, or as we say in New England, chowder. I'm going to add the chowder station, and then we'll go from there. So we'll see you back in just a few seconds. Welcome back to Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy, and we have our chowder done, or our chowder done. And we have our corn. This is our base that we made, and basically our base is comprised of just celery, onion, butter, flour, a little bit of chicken broth, and some red bliss potatoes. And because I have basically a canned chicken broth, although it's not, it's a carton chicken broth now. They don't use the cans hardly at all, but I don't need that much salt, so I'm going to add a little bit of that. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. You can certainly use white pepper. A lot of chefs will use white pepper because they don't want it to show up. But I kind of just like the hominess of what the black pepper does. And I'm going to just rinse off this spoon real quick. I like to come out of camera, you know, well, I don't have an assistant to grab me things, so, you know. So then we're going to add our corn. And I like to add a lot of corn. I want it, if it's going to be a corn chowder, I want it to taste like corn. I'm going to mix that in there. You can see how nice that looks there. And then I'm just going to add a touch of half and half. And if you use half and half instead of heavy cream, you shouldn't bring it to a boil. We all have this inner seal now. Okay. So don't bring it to a boil again. You can reheat it, but just don't bring it to a boil, or cream might break. And you can see how beautiful that is. That's just beautiful. Now you can do different things with this as well. You could spice it up a little bit. You could even add some cilantro to this. A cilantro and corn chowder is very popular. You could add some roasted peppers to this, which would be really nice. I would suggest that if you do a roasted pepper, make your own roasted peppers. Don't use a canned roasted pepper. A lot of times canned roasted peppers have a vinegar taste to them. That's the medium that they're preserved in. And really, I'm just adding enough cream just to kind of give it that nice color to it. In New England, they add a lot of cream to their chowders. I'm not a big cream lover. I'd rather have the sweetness of the corn rather than the sweetness that comes from the cream. And you can see how nice this is. I'm going to add just a little bit more pepper to it. And that's just fine. When we come back, we are going to make some peach turnovers. Unbelievable when you see how these will come out. See you back. Welcome back to Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef Brett McCarthy, and we are going to make some peach turnovers with fresh peaches, no less. And one of the ways to say, well, I don't like to do fresh peaches because, you know, they're hard to peel and everything like that. Well, I got an easy way to peel them. Dump them in hot water here. And you just wait not even a minute or so. And while we're doing that, we're going to add, we've got some peaches already cut up, peeled and cut up. Add a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of sugar, okay, and just a little bit of lemon juice, just like that. All right. And I forgot my spoon again. Gosh darn it. This is just not, today is not a good day for spoons. All right, so we're going to stir that up just like that. All right. All right, so just got to stir that up just a little bit. All right, now I want to show you. We got these peaches. You got to move fast here. All right, and we're going to put that in an ice bath. Okay, and while the cameraman's looking at that, I'm going to get my cornstarch. I'm going to add just a little bit of cornstarch. To my peaches. And this, what will happen is in the oven, they're going to weep a little bit. And this is going to make a nice sauce. See, they're already weeping with the sugar. So as they cook, that water's going to come out. And it's about a teaspoon. I'm just not measuring. All right. That's going to thicken it up a little bit. Okay. So now we got some puff pastry sheets. And you can buy puff pastry nearly anywhere. Okay. Got the sheets there. And we're just going to take a few of these peaches. All right. Put it at the opposite end. I'm going to stuff that in there. Get in there. All right. And we don't even have to put anything on there. Just like that. All right. And I'm going to use a fork just to give it a nice look there. Okay. Okay, and what I did is I just took a little piece of parchment paper, sprayed it, a little bit of Pam spray there, and that's all there's to it. And I'm going to make a little bit of, just a couple holes, just to let out the steam. And I just want to show you real quick here. This is the peaches, and they just peel that easily once you put them in the ice bath. So really easy to do. They just come right off like that. In fact, actually, you don't even want to have them in the hot water as long as I did. Got kind of distracted. I mean, you're talking maybe 30 seconds. Okay, and you can just rinse that off, and then it's just a matter of get this out of the way. Just a matter of cutting it off right around the pit there, and that's it. Just cut it up just like that. Okay. When we get back, I'm going to show you how these are going to look, and it'll be beautiful. So we'll see you back in just a minute. Welcome back to Cooking at the College, and I'm just so excited. These are just coming out of the oven. They are just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. You can see how pretty they are. We're going to just put these right over here. And really, the colder the dough, the better. So mine was a little bit warm, so they didn't puff up quite as much. So the colder they are, the colder that dough is. So just when it just starts to thaw enough so you can fold it over, is the actual where you want it, because it'll actually puff up more. How puff pastry works is it works totally on fat. It doesn't have yeast in it, so it uses that fat to actually generate steam, and that's what puffs it up, and then it freezes in place. It actually bakes in place, so that's what makes it. And it actually is many layers of fat and flour is what's mixed in. It's a dough, many, many layers, and that's why you see all those different layers in like Danish and puff pastry. So it's a difficult dough to actually make. It's not an easy dough to make. So this is just beautiful. We're just very, very nice, and it's got the just beautiful. You can see those peaches. I'm just going to lift that up just real quickly. You can actually see those peaches inside. That was that first one that didn't quite get sealed, but still stayed in there, and that's really nice. Add a little bit of powdered sugar here, and that's just pretty, just to kind of garnish it really nice. And I do it right on the sheet pan. That way I don't get it all over the place instead of doing it once I transfer it to the plate. We're just going to take one of these, just like that. Maybe we'll just put another one just like that. That's just beautiful. I just love that. If you know, I think it looks beautiful just like that, but if you wanted to add a couple little peaches there or something like that, just to kind of give it a nice look, you could put some spearmint on there, but I think they're beautiful on their own. They don't need anything special. So, okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to have our chowder. And you can just see how beautiful this is. And I did thicken it just as I told you I might, just a little bit. I took a little bit of a cornstarch slurry. And when I talk about a slurry, I'm talking about 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, and I'm adding just enough water just to make a slurry, just enough to make a slurry. Not probably about another teaspoon of water. And then I put it in while it's at a simmer, and I make sure that I just cook it out for just a little bit, and it just got nice and thick, and it's just beautiful. You can see, you know, a really good, some people ask, well, how should I chop my vegetables? Well, if you can put a spoon in it and most everything is on there as a part of the chowder, then you did it right. Okay, so you want a little piece of celery, a little piece of onion, a little piece of potato, a little piece of corn, but if they're chopped too big, you might just get a big potato on your spoon and nothing else. So you don't want that. So that's the size that you're looking for. So we're just going to take this and put this in a cup. And this is just beautiful. I mean, this is just gorgeous. Okay, so we're just going to go just like that. And that's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Like I said, I like just enough cream just to kind of bring it all together. All right. I'm just going to wipe that off. And we'll just take a little bit of red pepper just because I like the color. And I'll just take a little bit of cilantro, and that's just pretty, pretty, pretty. That just, I mean, that would be as nice as anything you'd find in a fancy restaurant. Okay, so the next thing that I have is I have my Tostitos. I happen to like Tostitos. And we're going to put these right around like that. And this is going to be for our salsa. All right. And incidentally, you can get all these recipes at Paducah2.org. Just go on there. And all those recipes there will also have old shows that you can watch, which is really nice. If you have high-speed internet, you can watch the shows again. And you can watch how I do it. All right. We're just going to take a little bit of this. This is beautiful. Look at that. We got the black beans. We got the corn. It's weeped a little bit. It's starting to come together. I'm just going to put it just like that. And that's just beautiful. Okay. All right. I'm going to just take a little bit of cilantro just like that. And I think that'd just be nice. I'll tell you. Have this for breakfast, this for lunch, and this for an afternoon snack. That'd be absolutely fabulous. We are going to just clean up a little bit here. And we're going to bring Todd Birdsong over here. And Todd, if you'll just join us. And Todd, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do for the college?
I'm the technical director for the theater department at West Kentucky Community and Technical College.
And he also, on the side, he's a photographer, and quite an excellent photographer. He got $300 out of me for a picture of a tree, if you can believe it. I don't know how he ever managed to do that. I look at the tree every single morning. It's
You're a soft touch.
I figured, must have been a pretty special tree because it just, it didn't even have leaves on it, if you can believe it, so you'd think. But anyways, you want to try this?
Yeah.
Okay, this one you can just, why don't we try with the turnover first?
Okay.
And just pick that right up. You can just eat it. It's
pick it up
yeah,
as
just, yeah. It's not like, like the turnover eating contest.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Why don't we try
yeah,
this one on
let's
the
see
bottom?
what's-
That's probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
This one I didn't put quite as many peaches in, so it's sealed up much better.
Okay. I know this is going to be hot.
Yeah, it's a little hot. Ah! No. Did you get a little peach in there?
I got a little peach in there.
Okay, we need another bite then because you really need to get the full effect, I think.
It's very hot.
It's very hot. Okay, well that's all right
Hold on.
because I don't have any beverage for you whatsoever. Okay, now don't be sneezing on everything, It's disgusting. How is that? That's good, huh?
It's delicious.
Excellent.
The peaches are really nice, tangy peach
Nice.
flavor.
That's that little bit of lemon juice, and that's what you add. You add that little lemon juice. It just cuts that sweetness, and it just blends just right with the sugar. So I always, when I make a pie or I make a puff pastry or a turnover or anything like that that has a fruit filling, I add just a little bit of lemon juice, and that just makes it just perfect. Another thing that you want to make sure is when you are sealing up your turnover, you want to make sure that you don't have any juices from the peaches inside the on the edge, or else it will not seal up properly, and that's the problem that we had with the first turnover and not with the second turnover. You want to try that
Let's move
that
on to
corn
the
chowder?
next, yeah, next course.
Well, this one you can actually blow on a little bit.
Try to get a little bit of everything in there.
There we go.
It smells great. Again, I mean, this just using those fresh vegetables.
This makes a whole difference.
Yeah, it surely does.
Take advantage of fresh vegetables. Not everything has to be cooked, overcooked, and with country ham in it. I'm not saying that's not a bad thing, but there's so many things you guys can do with fresh vegetables, and with the food prices just rising just exponentially, you'll find that fresh vegetables really are the best deal.
Okay.
We'll try that. We have about a minute left, so we'll have to hurry a little bit there. And this isn't going to quite dip it the same way as a salsa does, but it's really quite tasty there. So you probably want to just have a spoon or something like that.
Oh my gosh,
Isn't that tasty?
this is fantastic. There's kind of a sweetness to it. Is that the
Oh,
corn?
sweet. That's the corn. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. There's some nice taste there. Well, thank you once again for joining us. We're back, baby, and I want to cook with you.
Da 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 da.
Look at that.
Look at him juggle one.
Look at the light. I'm looking at the light!